Showtime. What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Think Big podcast. If it's your first time joining us, welcome, welcome. We do the show every single week at Tuesday. What I'm doing right now is I'm just going to get us live on Instagram. So we are live on YouTube right now. We got the green thumb up. Let's get live on Instagram if it lets us. There we go. We are officially live on Instagram. Beautiful. All right, guys, tonight we've got a lot to cover, not a whole lot of time to cover it. We're going to be diving into the $1 million mindset because hard truth, most people will never make $1 million in their life. Just the reality. The thing is, everybody sets that goal of they want to go out and make $1 million. And I've been listening for the last 5-6 years of being in entrepreneurship to a lot of people who say, I want to make $1 million. I'm going to have $1 million business. I'm going to have a multi-million-dollar business. I'm going to be a billionaire. I've heard it all. I'm going to create generational wealth. I'm going to be the person that gets my family out of poverty. I'm going to be the one to build this empire. I'm going to give back to the poor. You name it, I've heard it. And of all the people I've heard say that, there's only a handful of people who's actually gone out and done it. Myself being one of them. There's only a few other people who, alongside me, went and actually got themselves from where they started to where they said they wanted to be. And I'm not saying this as a flex on you, right? Like I'm saying this to impress upon you that you don't just become a millionaire by simply talking about it or just simply wishing for it, because everybody wishes for it. Everybody is asking for the same thing. So tonight, I'm going to be breaking down 11 different mindset switches that need to occur. Because if you think becoming a millionaire is about just having $1 million in a bank account, I can promise you that's not going to happen. I mean, how many times do we need to see a person win the lottery, come into a large amount of wealth, inherit it from their family, get a trust fund, and blow all the money? They end up in a worse position than how they started. It's not because the money is necessarily bad. It's because having money doesn't effectively change who you are. You are who you are. Money simply amplifies who you are. And so if you want to be a millionaire, right, go and become a millionaire. Right? If I gave you $1 million, you better become a millionaire quick, or else you're going to lose all that money. And so let's dive into it tonight. We're going to go through 11 different things that you need to incorporate into your mental framework, into your mental operating system that's going to need to change. And the first one is, I covered this 2 weeks ago. This is millionaires have high performance habits. Write that down. If you're a note taker, I want you to write this down. Millionaires have high performance habits. In comparison to the average individual has middle class habits. Millionaires have high performance habits. And I'm going to do a quick review of what those 6 high performance habits are that you need to adopt. In fact, yesterday I gave out a free PDF. So if you guys go to habits.mindsetmarlin.com, you can get the free PDF of the 6 habits that millionaires adopt. But the 6 habits are this. Habit number 1 is millionaires are crystal clear. They generate clarity in their lives. If I were to come to Xavier, what's up, Xavier? Good to see you. Kevin's inside here. Monica's inside here. Karen's inside. She's here with us live. If I were to go and ask any person who's wealthy, who's running a successful business, what their plans are for the next 6 to 12 months, they are going to have an answer. They have a direction that they're heading in. Millionaires have a direction that they're heading in, and it's a clear direction. It's a singular direction. It's not confused and muddied down with multiple other objectives. They keep the main thing the main thing. I want you to ask yourself right now, do I have this characteristic of a millionaire? Do I know clearly what it is I'm wanting to accomplish? Are you focused? If you're not focused, you are going to find that every day time goes by, but you don't necessarily get anything done because you're constantly going in one direction on Monday, then the Tuesday you're walking in another direction, and Wednesday you're going in a third direction. And so you're always moving, but not necessarily getting anywhere. This is one of the largest struggles. If I'm being honest with you guys, one of the biggest struggles that most clients, when they first start working to me, that I would say is the most common trait of a person who is stuck, financially, they're not earning what they want to be earning, they're not achieving what they want to be achieving, they're not getting the results. It 9 out of 10 times comes down to a lack of clarity. They are not clear on the ultimate goal. And if you look back through your life, like think about this, you may have experienced and demonstrated clarity in previous parts of your life, such as sports, school, things of that nature. And when you were clear on the objective and you were clear on the goal, how did you do? Be honest. Did you do better or did you do worse? Odds are I already know the answer. You did better because clarity creates momentum. Clarity creates power. So, number one is creating clarity. Number two is generating energy. Millionaires have the habit of generating energy internally from having a clear vision, from having alignment with that clear vision, from taking care of their body. They take care of their rest, they take care of the foods that they eat. They are consuming, be it food, information, relationships, all based on what gives them energy and what brings them life and allows them to go out and work. The third thing is millionaires have a habit of creating necessity around the goals that they set. Most people, you set goals, and tell me if this sounds familiar. You hear friends that set goals. This year, I'm going to lose weight. This year, I'm going to make a certain amount of money. This year, I'm going to start the business. But there's no consequence involved if it doesn't occur. If you want to make sure something happens, you've got to set a consequence. You have to involve a consequence in the inaction, in the not achieving. When, for example, when I was getting into real estate, one of the things that I did was I invested a lot of money. I went into credit card debt, I went into consumer debt to purchase education, to pay for coaches, to pay for mentorship. And as a result, there was a very real consequence of I have bills to pay, I have interest to pay, I borrowed money from family. And so if I didn't achieve, I was going to have the ramification of lenders who were literally coming down my throat to get back what's earned. Now, of course, my family that I borrowed money from, they weren't overly oppressive on me, right? It's still family, it's the bank of love, but there was a genuine consequence involved in not getting up and making the calls and doing the work and following through on the education, following through on the mentorship program. And so millionaires, they have this habit of raising necessity. All right, so guys, I'm not going to go into too much detail on these 6 habits though, because I did a full hour plus episode 2 weeks ago that due to popular demand, I put back up on the YouTube channel. So if you need this in more detail, go watch that. Habit number 4 is the habit of increasing your productivity. And this is millionaires understand that in order to be more productive, they've got to identify and prioritize what actually matters. What is it that they should actually be focused on? Savan, you and I have talked about this in the past that there's to-do list and to-do list go on forever. Let me know if y'all can relate. Have you ever started to bang out a to-do list on your iPhone and before you realize it, there's like 40 things on the to-do list and maybe you're one day you're hyper motivated so you say I'm going to do everything on the to-do list. I'm going to go after it. I used to do this. Like I would tackle my to-do list. In fact, I would do things that weren't even on the to-do list and I would put it on the to-do list after the fact just so I can cross it off because there's pleasure in crossing things off. And at the end of the day, when I would sit down and reflect, I still had this feeling like I didn't do anything. Like I didn't really accomplish much. And the reality is, although I did a lot of things, I didn't do things that moved the needle because a to-do list fails to tell me what's important to do. Making my bed was on the to-do list. Cutting the grass was on the to-do list. Sending out that piece of mail was on the to-do list. Going in, making a sandwich was on the to-do list. All those things were on the to-do list, but how many of them actually helped me achieve my goal that was during that time? For example, for me, it was growing my real estate business. None of those activities actually correlated to my real estate business growing to me making money. And what's funny is if I had learned to prioritize at that earlier stage in my career, and this is something I did start to figure out. I started to identify and prioritize what actually matters, where I realized, okay, the only thing that actually matters is me having quality conversations with motivated sellers. This was back when all I was focused on was wholesaling. Wholesaling real estate was my first entry into like entrepreneurship as a real estate investor. And when I started to prioritize, this is the thing that matters the most above everything else. If I do this by solving this for this one problem, all of the other problems in my life either get easier or disappear. And so all I would do is wake up every day and I would focus on, let me go have quality conversations with motivated sellers. In your life, if you want to become a millionaire, you need to be able to identify what's the top priority activity you should be doing day to day to day. And it's a skill set to identify that, because after you've accomplished it and you grow, you're going to have a new level, which is going to require a new priority, a new skill, a new task, a new activity that becomes your most highly valued, highly leveraged activity. So that's number 4. Habit number 5 is the habit of generating influence. This is your ability to get people to believe in you, buy from you, invest in you, lend you money, those sort of things. And then habit number 6, right? And I'm blowing through these habits because, again, I did a full episode on this 2 weeks ago. Habit number 6 is the habit of demonstrating courage, right? Millionaires have a habit of doing the uncomfortable, scary thing, having uncomfortable conversations. They are okay with people not liking them. They're okay with standing out. They're okay making YouTube videos and being judged by the rest of the world. Like, guys, we are okay with other people saying you're stupid, you're weird, you're lame. We're okay being on stage and pouring our heart out and being like, some people are like, I'd be so embarrassed if I put on an event and only 10 people showed up. Guys, I've put on events and only 10 people have shown up. I've put on events and the opposite. I've had hundreds of people in the room and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm scared now. Like, what if I screw up? And yet I still move forward anyway. Courage. You need courage. Millionaires have courage. So many, the average individual, when they're scared, they back down. Millionaires step up, they step forward. Make sure you're taking notes of this. Write this down so that you can ensure that you're instilling these things. Because again, being a millionaire is not about having $1 million in the bank. You become a millionaire first, and the money will follow you after the fact. Having $1 million in the bank does not make you a millionaire. I can give a broke person $1 million and give them some time. They'll be back to being broke. Being a millionaire, it's a mindset. It's an identity. All right. So first thing, millionaires have high performance habits. If you want a list of the high performance habits, go ahead and go to, I'm going to show you guys. I gave this out as a free resource yesterday. You do not need to pay for this. This is a free resource I gave out. I'm going to share my screen. If you go to this website, it's called habits.mindsetmarlin.com. You can go inside and you can download the PDF that explains the 6 habits that you need to have. Okay. So go to habits.mindsetmarlin.com. Awesome. All right. What's up, David? Good to see you, bro. Dude, David Smith. Shout out to David. Excited for your wedding in September. David has been on a war path with growing his welding business. So freaking proud of this dude. This is someone like David is someone I've gotten fortunate enough to. I was able to coach David last year, and he has been on an absolute war path growing his business. I think he was like, yo, dude, we're trying to do like get 10 deals this week. And I think they already got like 10 new clients or something like that. Like insane. I was watching David. I've been watching his stories, bro. Fire. David says these habits are the key. David implemented these habits, by the way. Like, guys, if you want to know, do these habits work? Like, hit up David Smith. Go find David on IG. Hit up David Smith if you want to know, do these habits work? Do they make a difference? Is it just fluff or is it actually producing? Right? So I love that. And David says you got to maintain a high frequency all day. All right. So lesson number 1, millionaires, we have high performance habits. Average people have middle class habits. Number 2, and I wrote notes here so I'll stay on track. Check this out. Number 2, I want y'all to listen to this clearly. Millionaires have higher standards that they do not negotiate. Millionaires have higher standards that they do not negotiate. Average people, right? This is what happens. A millionaire, they will get what they want, but they will only take it on their terms. Average people, they get what they want, but they take it on somebody else's terms. Let me break this down for you. When I go out and I negotiate for a real estate deal, for example, I will get the price I need, the price I want. I will close at the time frame I need to close. Of course, it's going to be a win-win, so it's also going to work for them. But I'm getting the price I need and want to make the deal work. I get paid on this is what I will bring in the sense of value. Average people, when they go out and they're negotiating a deal, right? Like average people, what do they want? They want to make more money, right? Let's use this as an example. The average person wants to make money. How does the average person get the money? Because the average person gets the money they want to make, believe it or not. Some of you are like, wait, no, no, they don't. I'm telling you, yes, they do. Everybody gets what their standards allow. So the average person gets the money they want. They want to make $50,000 a year, $100,000 a year, $200,000 a year. They get it. But here's the thing, they take it on someone else's standard, on someone else's terms. What do I mean? Bob, you need to be at work at 9 a.m. Bob, you can leave at 6 o'clock. Bob, you only get 2 weeks of vacation. Bob, I need you here on Saturday. Bob, you can't go on vacation that week. We need you. Bob, you can't take off for that. Bob, you can't go to your kid's game. We need you in the office. Bob, we need you across town. Bob, we need you got to give up that parking spot for the new VP. Bob, we're going to move you from that department into this department now. Bob is getting the paycheck he wants. Bob negotiated for the price he wanted. He's getting his $100,000 a check year, $100,000 a year salary, but he's getting it on somebody else's term. Millionaires, they set a standard and then do not take anything on terms that they don't also agree with. They get it on their terms. And so if you offer a millionaire the money that they want, the product that they want, the service that they want, but you're giving it to them on terms that they don't agree with, or that we don't agree with, guess what we're going to say? No. It's a mindset. We understand that we can get things on our terms. That's not a this or that. It's a this and that. I can have both things. I can have the thing I desire as well as I can have it on my terms. And if you're not willing to offer it to me, I will go and get it. I will create it somewhere else. It is a mental shift. When you start to create this mental shift, you go from a place of I'm no longer needing from you. I want, but I don't need from you. I don't have that commission breath about me. I don't come off as needy. I'm willing to walk away from a deal. If the deal isn't on my terms, if it's not at my price, if it's not on my standard, I'm willing to walk away. I need you to make that mental shift. When I started to have this realization inside of my real estate business, as an example, in my portfolio, I started to be able to buy properties at the price I needed to get them. Guys, my portfolio is made up of properties that I've purchased between as little as on 15 cents on the dollar up to about 50 to 60 cents on the dollar. I've never paid retail for any of my properties. I've been able to purchase my entire portfolio with no money out of pocket. Why? Not because I'm some guru, not because I'm some savant, not because I have a crystal ball and I can predict trends. It's simply because when I went into the marketplace and I started to put out offers on properties, when I started to go after the things I wanted, I said in my mind, this is the standard for what I want. I found out about the Burr strategy. I found out that it's possible to create infinite ROIs. I found out it's possible to use OPM. And once I learned that all these things are possible, I decided that it would be possible for me. It'd be my standard, and I would only accept things at that standard. And so there's plenty of things that when I go out and I ask for it, I get told no, and I'm okay with it. I move on. I don't keep banging my head against the wall because I'm like, all right, what I'm looking for, I can't find it here, and I'm willing to move on. The average person feels that this is the only place they can get what they're looking for, and they end up settling. Millionaires, we don't settle. We do not settle. Beautiful. Let's move on to lesson number 3. Yo, Andrew Solman, what's going on, bro? Good to see you inside here. All right, lesson number 3. Millionaires focus on solving problems that pay more. Millionaires focus on solving rich people problems. The average person focuses on solving broke to middle class problems. What do I mean? I learned this years ago by listening to a gentleman named Ryan Serhant. Ryan Serhant, some of you might recognize him. He's that realtor on TV, the millionaire realtor, the millionaire listing agent. He's the dude with the silver hair, tall guy, lives in New York City, and he sells billions of dollars of real estate. And what's interesting is his career, he started off as an actor. He wanted to be an actor. He moved to New York to start his acting career. And while he was trying to make it, he had to go get a side hustle. So what's most people's side hustle? They're either a bartender or a realtor, right? No offense to my realtors and no offense to my bartenders, but most people don't do that as a full-time career because they want to. They do it because they think it's going to be a quick side hustle money. And as a realtor, he was struggling to get listings, struggling to go out and make any money. And so one day he has this brilliant idea. He's like, I'm an actor. Why don't I fake it till I make it? Right? I'm over here working my butt off, my absolute guts out, and I'm doing like these little listings for leases and rents inside of New York. And after I do all this work, I barely make a couple $100, maybe $1,000. Why don't I go and pretend to be like the most exclusive luxury listing agent in all of New York? And I'm going to serve literally like the princes and princesses and queens of the world and the embassies that come to America, that come to New York. And so he does this. And what's interesting is he did this because he took a phone call. He had answered the phone when the phone rang, and it just happened to be, I forget what country this woman was from, but she was flying in. She's like a princess. She's worth billions of dollars. And he's like, yes, I will be the one to show you around. I'll get you a listing. And what's your price range? And obviously money is no price. So he's taking her to these places that are renting for 20, 30, $40,000 a month. And what's interesting is he ends up getting her, she signs the listing, he makes his money. And he said, what was interesting is I connected with her as a person. And as I connected with her, I found out that the rich and the poor are effectively the same, right? Like they have the same problems, the same ups and downs in life. They have the same emotions. And he said, I realized that I can be serving the rich and I can be solving their problems because when I solve a rich person's problem, they pay more, even though it's technically the same process. Still just showing her houses and showing her rentals and showing people around the city. I'm doing all the same activities, but I'm solving it for someone who can afford to pay more. This was one of the biggest paradigm shifts that I ever had in entrepreneurship, in my earning potential, and everything. Nowadays, I only want to solve problems that have the ability to pay me more. I only want to work with people who have the ability to pay me what I'm worth. When I was wholesaling real estate, I was working my butt off. And sometimes, I mean, like killing myself to do deals where I'm not kidding you. I've made as little as a couple of $100 on a deal. And they were some of the most stressful deals. And then I've had deals where it was the exact same process, but I was just working at higher price points. The homes had more equity. The buyers were willing to pay more. Everything was the same as far as solving the homeowner's problems, going through title work, going through the paperwork. All of that was the same, except on the back end, there were a lot more zeros after the number. I got paid a lot more. And I made it a point that my business model, right? Not my business tactics, because tactics are always changing. My business model would be I would only target opportunities that had high margins, that had high profit on the back end of it. Right. For example, guys, I was talking to Andrew about this yesterday. Behind the scenes, you guys know me from mindset coaching, and that's really all I want to be known for as far as my marketing and branding. Like, only come to me because you want to do mindset coaching with me. You think I'd be your perfect coach. You believe I can unlock things for you because I can. Talk to me about that. What I do in my personal investing, though, is I still buy properties. We still do fix and flips. And I'm not interested in being known as the dude that's doing 20, 30, 100 flips. Like, I don't want that claim to fame. I don't care for that. Instead, what we aim for is when we do projects, when we do flips, I just want fat margins, right? Like, I don't want to look at a deal. I don't entertain purchasing the deal if we don't believe gross we can make at least 100,000. We'll say no to everything that we don't think we could at least make 100,000 on. Our model changed. We only want larger profits, larger margins. All right. Like, I love this. Shout out to Lindsay, by the way. Lindsay, got to talk to her this morning, and at a girl, Lindsay. Lindsay got back on the phone with a seller, negotiated a deal down like crazy, and was like, yo, got the contract today. Went from it being like oh my gosh, the seller is wanting way too much. The deal's about to be a garbage deal, to being able to negotiate. And Lindsay is one of those people where she's learning the model of going after larger opportunities. Guys, like this is how millionaires think. We look for larger opportunity vehicles. We want to solve problems that are profitable. Solve profitable problems. Write that down, right? Please write this down. I will only solve profitable problems. I will only solve profitable problems. I will only solve profitable problems. If you cannot make the sort of money that you need by solving that problem, it's not worth it. Charge more, make more, earn more. It's the same amount of work. Okay. Whew. I love these conversations. Okay, so let's go into number 4. Millionaires are focused on becoming. The average individual is focused on having. Oh man, I love this. Lindsay said, "You gave me the reps I needed and the framework you gave made it all possible." Lindsay, love you. You did the hard part. You actually applied what we talked about this morning and you actually went into the marketplace and used it. So you guys need to be more like Lindsay. Lindsay learns things and then she goes and applies it. All right, so check this out. Lesson number 4 is millionaires are focused on becoming. The average, right, middle class people, they're focused on having. What do I mean by that? This is absolutely critical that you stop and you listen to this. When I set goals, when millionaires set goals, when Elon Musk, Oprah Winfrey, Kobe, Jeff Bezos, when they set goals, they are focused on how do I become a stronger operator, a stronger business owner, a more competent leader. They're looking at their own personal transformation, their own becoming. And so the goal, the purpose of the goal isn't in achieving. The purpose of the goal is who do you need to become in order to achieve the goal? Because by nature of becoming that person, you will naturally attract the results and the physical manifestation of the things that are associated with being that person. This is so freaking critical. Guys, like a star athlete is going to score points because they work on becoming a star athlete. A salesman is going to make more money because they worked on becoming the best salesman. They worked on ultimately gaining the skill and being the person who can close a deal, being the person who could dive deep, being the person who can ask the questions. Focus on becoming. When it was in 2022, I went ham on just wholesaling. 2022, I really went ham on wholesaling. And what I realized inside of this, I needed to become a competent closer. I needed to become a competent salesperson. I had to develop that skill. And so I worked day and night to develop my communication skill, to get better at talking to people, to get better at asking questions, asking consequence questions, guiding conversations, painting images with my words, being able to connect and build rapport in a short period of time, being able to overcome objections and starting to have all the objections that were coming up and learning how to rebuttal every objection that I was running into. And I just focused on hammering away at this skill and becoming that person. As a result, I started to close more deals, make more money, and build my business. I started to attract partnerships. I started to attract private capital. I started to attract all the things that were necessary for the next level of the game I wanted to play, all by nature of not just focused on, let me get an assignment, let me get an assignment, let me get an assignment. It was all on the focus on, let me become the absolute best salesperson I could possibly be. Let me go and develop this skill. In fact, there was a guy I started coaching back then. His name was Munif. Some of you know Munif Saza. He became literally the second best closer in the nation as determined by the Closer Olympics. So this was a competition for salespeople in closing for real estate deals. And he was literally crowned the second best in the nation. And it was because we had a conversation about him just focusing on becoming the absolute best closer he could possibly be. And so his pursuit was in becoming. As a result, his business went from struggling, making no money, to them having multi six figure deals, multi six figures Making six figures multiple times. There we go. So not multi six figures like 300,000, but doing six figures worth of deals many times over and over and over, month after month after month. Amazing things happen when you focus on becoming. All right, pay attention to this one. Millionaires, we charge based on value. Average people charge for their service and products based on effort and time. Millionaires, we learn to associate money. We connect money not to effort and time. Most people think about this. The average individual thinks in what? Dollars per hour. How much do you make? Oh, I make $20 an hour, $30 an hour, $40 an hour. That's an average way of thinking. How much do you make? I make $80,000 a year. That's an average way of thinking. Millionaires think very differently. Millionaires think very differently. We profit X amount of dollars per deal. An average assignment is 22,000. We do 5 assignments per month. They think in terms of value. They associate money with the value. It's a disconnect. Andrew and I were having this conversation earlier this week because Andrew was like, dude, I can't believe it worked. Because we started talking about like how he needs to market more. And Andrew, shout out to Andrew Solomon right there in the chat, right? Andrew started marketing. He started listening. He put out marketing content. He started talking, having more quality conversations. As a result, a phone call came in, right? He had this conversation. He's like, dude, a 15-minute conversation, literally a 15-minute conversation where I just connected two critical pieces and brought value to each party is going to make me probably between $5,000 to $10,000 for a 15-minute conversation. He's like, it's mind blowing that the money isn't necessary. And he's like, at the same time, he's like, I'm working like in my contracting stuff and like I'm swinging the hammer all day and I'm putting up wires all day. And where I'm putting in 100x more effort, I'm making a fraction. What we need to understand is the amount of money you earn is directly correlated to the amount of value you can bring to a situation. The amount of money you earn, money is connected to value. Money chases value. Where value is created, money will find its way. Money will follow value creation. If you want to earn more money, you want to become a millionaire, if you want money to literally become attracted to you, if you want to be a magnet for this green stuff we call money, become more valuable. And ask yourself this: is it possible to make 3 times as much money as you're making right now? Is it possible to make 10 times as much money as you're making right now in the same amount of time? The answer is yes. How do you do it? By becoming 3 times or 10 times or 15 times more valuable. Is it possible to become more valuable as far as the marketplace is concerned? I get it. At the human soul level, we are all equally valuable. I get that. Let's all sing Kumbaya and sit around the fire. As far as the marketplace is concerned, though, we are not all equal. Guys, as far as the marketplace is concerned, I provide a skill, right? I unlock people's potential. I help people grow better habits. That's a skill set that I have that I've worked on and I've honed over the last decade. I'm better at doing that than most people's therapists who have been working for 40 years. Why? Because I got obsessed with becoming more valuable at that particular thing. This is why my clients, this is why like I keep shouting out Gerald recently, because Gerald's just been on a rampage, right? Once we unlocked him, Gerald's out here just locking up deals, closing deals, closing deals. In the last, 30 days, he's already brought in 60 grand. Caroline's another one, right? Caroline, literally, like I get to coach her every single day. She just messaged me. She texted me 2 hours ago. She's like, brother, the deal that we're about to do, potentially $100,000 deal. So value equals money. Money equals value. Tattoo that onto your brain. Tattoo that onto your skull. All right, let's keep going here. Number 6 is millionaires use leverage. Average people don't. Average people try and do everything on their own. Millionaires use leverage. What are we talking about when it comes to leverage, right? I've got some key points for leverage here with y'all. Okay. So, ooh, I missed some points from before. I wrote some notes I wanted to share with y'all that I'll probably come back to this. But some of the leverage that you're going to learn to utilize if you want to become a millionaire, right? Like, because again, it's not about your own effort. It's more about value. How much value can you bring, and to how many people can you bring it to? The more value you can deliver to the more people, and especially to the people who can afford to pay it. You combine this with what I said earlier, where you serve the wealthy, serve the people who can afford to pay, you will start to make a lot more money. And so the way you use leverage is through technology, right? Utilizing, for example, building relationships. Inside of your business, you're going to get to the place where you need to build more relationships with your customers and your clients. How do you stay on top of all those relationships? Obviously, you use a CRM, right? A client relationship manager. It's a piece of technology, it's a system on your computer that lets you record and save the conversations, and it keeps notes on people. So when you go to talk to them again, you're able to remember, oh, this is what we discussed 2 weeks ago. This is where we were at in the conversation. This is what their problem is. This is when their birthday is. This is what I need to follow up with them about. That's technology. That's using leverage. You're no longer relying on just yourself and your own personal brain power to remember everything. That's silly. Money. Learn to leverage money. Here's the interesting thing. One of the biggest factors that holds most people back in real estate, entrepreneurship, business is the belief that they don't have enough money to go out and get the deals, to do the thing. Because you're thinking to yourself, I've got to go and save up $100,000 so that I can invest it into business, so I can buy real estate, so I can buy properties. Well, everyone else thinks that as well. And so what do people do? They spend their entire lives working a career, right? They get the money, but they get it on someone else's terms. So they spend 20 years gathering the money. And by the time they squirreled up all that money over the last 20 years, one, they're so nervous to do anything about it that they just sit on it. They never learned how to invest. They never went and developed skills. And so now they've got this money sitting there that they don't even know how to use. Leverage would say, hey, look, if all of these people are out there gathering these nuts throughout their lifetime and squirreling the nuts away, why don't I go and speak to them? Because they already gathered something that I need. And why don't I bring them in? I'm not trying to do it all on my own. Why do I need to go gather the money if you spent the last 20 years gathering it yourself? Think about that, guys. So using other people's money in the form of leverage, using coaches. Somebody went out and gathered all the information, the blueprint, the know-how on how to build the business, on how to get a deal done, on how to do whatever it is you want to do. There's literally somebody out there. If you want to do something, there is somebody out there who has likely already done it. Let's say you wanted to bake the world's largest cookie in the world. You want to make the largest cookie. What could you do? Like Marlon, no one's ever made the largest cookie. If I made the largest cookie, then how could I go and find someone who's already done it? Well, it's simple. Go and find the person who's made the largest cookie up until now and get their counsel. Learn what they did, learn what worked well, learn how to go beyond the edge that they already walked up to. Right? Millionaires, guys, they do not waste time going and gathering resources that someone has already gathered, whether it be money, whether it be the use of technology, whether it be information and resources. We use leverage. Using leverage is critical. Average people are trying to do it all on their own. All of it. All right, let's keep going here. I love this, guys. Let me know as I'm going through, let me know which lessons are standing out to y'all the most. All right, number 7. All right, and we got 11. Keep this in mind. We got 11. Number 7, millionaires keep it simple with the fundamentals. We keep things simple. The average person is impressed by complexity. Millionaires keep it simple. In fact, you'll notice that the more advanced, the more money a person makes, the more successful a business is, typically the simpler their business model is. It's an addition by subtraction. In fact, Apple, Steve Jobs of Apple, he used to say, What he focused on when it came to making the iPhone, he said, what we did was we thought about all the things that make a phone suck and we stripped it away, right? Like the iPhone wasn't a process of addition, it was a process of subtraction. Like if we start to take away all the extra unnecessary things and we're just left with the fundamentals, what are you left with? You're left with the iPhone. Keep it simple. If you look at there's a company, I don't really eat there. There's a place, Raising Cane's. Raising Cane's is I didn't realize how massive of a business it is. So Raising Cane's, all their locations, it's still owned by the single owner. I didn't realize Raising Cane's wasn't a franchise. It's the same owner. It's kind of like Panda Express. All the Panda Expresses are still owned by the original Mr. Panda. I don't know his name, so I'm calling him Mr. Panda. Raising Cane's is the same way. If you go into a Raising Cane's, their menu, they have like 5 items on their menu entirely. Right? Like they've got their fountain drinks, they got their chicken, they got their bread, they got their French fries, and whatever else they have. I don't, guys, again, I don't eat Raising Cane's, but they keep it simple. It's literally 5 items. If you think that someone's never come to them and said, hey, you should also add this, that, and the third, they're like, no, why would we try to make it more complex? Millionaires want to keep things simple. Their business models are simple. When you have a simple business model, you're able to say yes or no to things more decisively, faster. You're able to filter the world out for just what you need. You're able to go and get more of the thing that grows a business. For example, when you have it simple, and like, let's say I'm going to use real estate as an example, because guys, I've invested in real estate over the last several years. When you keep it simple, your deals should be obvious. It's either hell yes, it's a deal, or hell no. Charlie Munger, arguably one of the greatest investors, used to say this. He used to say, when it comes to investing in a deal, a good deal, he's like, if it's not obviously a yes, then we don't do it. I had another mentor. He said this to me, and I want y'all to keep this for yourself. He said, if you wouldn't buy 20 of these deals at the exact same time, if you wouldn't take on 20 of these customers all at the exact same time, then you shouldn't even take on one of them, because it means it's too complicated. It's too much. It's not the right fit. Keep it simple. It should be a hell yes or it's a hell no. All right, lesson number 8. Millionaires have urgency. The average person is in a rush. Millionaires are never in a rush. Millionaires live with urgency. I'm going to say that one more time. Millionaires are never in a rush. They don't rush anything. They have urgency. Marlon, what's the difference between urgency and a rush? I'm glad you asked. Rushing means I believe it should have already been done. It should already have been done. Something's wrong. It hasn't been finished. Oh my gosh, I'm stressed out. We're behind. Oh my gosh. Panic. It's panic. It's panic energy. It's needy energy. It's insecurity. It's scarcity. We're running out. There's not enough time. There's not enough opportunities. We got to go and get the deals before the deals are gone. Like, that's stupid. That's average. That's poor. That's a poor mindset. And if you're feeling some type of way about this, good. That's the part of you that is still trying to be average that I want to burn out of you. I want to rip that part out of you. Because millionaires, we have a sense of urgency, which means here's the difference between urgency and rushing. Urgency says, get up and do it now, right? Take action now. Take action today. Do what can be done in this moment right now. However, it doesn't guarantee that anything was already supposed to be done. You operate now, but you're not in a rush. I'm playing this game for life. I'm playing until the whistle blows. I'm not playing to the clock. I'm playing to the whistle. There's a difference when you're that kind of player. When you get a player on the field, think about this in sports. When you get a player on the field who's constantly like looking at the clock, right? Like, that's a person who's scared. That's the person who's like, oh my gosh, like they're not putting their all. They're not putting all their effort into the present moment. They're not living with that sense of urgency right now to make the best play. The best players are the ones who aren't paying attention to the clock. They're paying attention to the field. They are operating at their peak until the whistle blows, because when the whistle blows, that means that signifies the game is over. Nothing else. So they are giving it their all until they are done. That's urgency. That's being in the present moment. Learn to operate with a sense of urgency. Yes, let's get things done now. Yes, let's do it now. Yes, let's get up and go. But don't be in a place where you feel like it should have already been done. Everything happens in its time. Everything happens in its time. Nothing ever happens before its time. It's wise, it's biblical, it's scripture, it's also good business. Everything happens in its time. Nothing ever happens before it. I love this. Lindsay says, embrace the journey, the growth, gives things the appropriate urgency. Guys, I love this. All right, cool. And then, oh, David, this is why, guys, like, I love when people come back in because I know David's listened to these things before. And he's like, I love hearing this reinforcement. Currently building a design book, custom gates, set design, set prices, yes and no. Has made my sales process so simple. Love this. All right, let's bring it back in. Lesson number 9. Millionaires have conviction on their products and service. The average people are just trying to sell anything to make a buck. David Smith is a prime example of a millionaire. David Smith is someone so David does welding. He welds for a living. He has a welding company. And in fact, he's in talks to purchase another welding company out here, one that he used to work for, which is so fire. Like, that's literally dope. And what's cool is if you ever talk to David about welding and creating the products for the customers and setting it up inside their yards and at their homes and at their businesses, you will see his energy will rise. Like, he is someone that is like, yo, this is going to make your property look better. This steel is going to last so much longer. Like, he knows the ins and outs. He is so excited about the potential, the opportunity to sell you his service, to sell you his product, because he has so much conviction behind the quality that he puts out. So much conviction behind the benefit that it will bring to you as a homeowner, as a property owner, as a business owner, how it will protect your property, how it will make your property look nicer, how it will increase the value of your storefront, how it will increase curb appeal, all of that. And so he's not the cheapest in the valley, not even close. And yet he's able to still outsell and outperform other people around him who have more years of experience, more brand awareness, more marketing dollars. He's able to outperform. Why? Conviction. He internally truly believes. He's in a place where he believes, like, if I don't sell, I'm doing you a disservice. If you don't buy from me, you're going to end up with crappy Joe Schmo from up the block. Some people have asked me before, like, Marlon, don't you feel salesy? Because, like, guys, I do personally. I've done high ticket sales. I've sold product of, 8, 10, 15, 20, 30, up to $40,000 product. I've sold very expensive product. I've had people who are like, dude, I am down to my last dollar to get in and purchase this product. And people are like, don't you feel salesy selling those people that kind of thing? And my response to them is, well, let me ask you this question. Have you ever sat down with a person and you're at the sales table and maybe it's a wholesale deal, maybe they're buying a product from you, and you know that you have the solution for this person's problem, but that person doesn't buy? Do you feel good when that person walks away and they don't buy? No. One, you don't make a commission, you don't make any money, so that sucks. But the real issue, if you have conviction behind your product, you know that that person has a problem that you have the solution to. And then what happens? You see that person several months later, a year later, 2 years later, and guess what? They're in the exact same position that they were in 2 years ago. They have the same problems. They haven't actually fixed anything. They haven't actually solved anything because nobody held them accountable. No one actually held their feet to the fire and said, you want to change, this is the way to change. Guys, changing isn't comfortable. Like, when you sell people, you're asking them to stay accountable to the change that they say they want to create, and you're showing them a way to do it. Millionaires have conviction behind that. They believe in their product. They believe in their service. If you don't believe in your product and service, you're going to suck at selling it. If you don't understand your product and service, you will suck at selling it. Average people are trying to just sell anything to make a buck because it's about me, 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 me. Millionaires think differently. It's like, how can I serve my client? How can I bring more? Because remember, money follows value. We said this earlier. Money follows value. So they are obsessed with, how do I make something that's more valuable for my customer, for my client? How do I make something that's so good for them that it would literally be stupid for them to say no? How do you make an offer? How do you make a product? How do you make a service so good that it literally feels stupid to say no to it. Let that sink in. Let that sink in. I love this. Oh man. Lindsay says, my inaction costs families their homes. Lindsay is willing to get back on the phone with homeowners, people in pre-foreclosure, people who cuss her out, people who say, screw you, leave me alone, your offers to, like all the things. Lindsay has been rejected on the phone so many times. And I don't say that as a knock on Lindsay. I'm so proud of Lindsay because she gets back on the phone. She gets back into that arena, down to the wire. She plays, literally, Lindsay's one of the people that plays to the whistle. And because she plays to the whistle and she has conviction behind what she does, she converts, she sells. She's able to save the people that she's able to save because truly she understands the value that her product and service bring, that her offer brings to the marketplace. That's a millionaire mindset. That is a millionaire right there. That is like Lindsay is a millionaire. Y'all are looking to increase your income. Well, check this out. Income, where is it? It's internal. Your income is internal. It's an inner game. You can't increase your income if you're not increasing your internal status, your internal state, your internal frequency, your identity, right? You're so focused on the outcome, which is the $1 million in the bank. Well, where is that? That's external. That's outside of you. You guys, you don't control jack shit outside of you. You control internal. So if you want to raise your income, focus on the inner game. Focus on raising your own conviction, raising your own skill. This is why we're talking about the $1 million mindset, not the $1 million blueprint that you're not going to follow because your identity is still shit. The $1 million mindset. Okay, let's keep going here. Lesson 10. Millionaires understand failure for what it actually is. They actually accept failure for what it really is. They embrace failure for what it really is. Feedback. The average person looks at failure as justification. Oh my gosh, it's proof that I'm not good enough. I knew this wasn't for me. No. Guys, that's not what failure is. Failure is feedback. Failure is literally calibration. Failure is you are learning the way, like, all right, it's like balancing. I used to do a lot of parkour and I would teach people how to balance and walk on rails and walk on slack lines. And when you balance, I would actually tell them like to go all the way to the left, go so far to the point that you fall off to the left. And they're like, oh man, I messed up. No, you didn't. You are now learning how far too far is, then how far too far to the right is. And then you start to balance and you find the middle and you're constantly getting this feedback until eventually you learn to work within the middle and find the opening. You find the slot. The failures, right? When the calls don't go the way you wanted them to go, when the sales call falls apart, when the launch doesn't work right and you don't make the money, when the marketing campaign doesn't work, it's all feedback. In fact, it's a test. It's a test to see if you really want it. Every time it doesn't work out the way you say, the way you thought it was going to work out, do you persist? It's the stone that sharpens the sword. Right? And you can't sharpen a sword. You can't sharpen a razor with velvet. You need a wet stone. You need something hard. You need something difficult. You need something that's going to apply friction. So failure is, oh, I love that. Gerald says failure is the prerequisite. It's necessary to success. You do not get it. And millionaires understand this. So stop saying, I just want to get it perfect before I start. No one gets it perfect. If you want to get it perfect before you get started, congratulations. You're average. You're like everybody else. If you want to know all the answers before you go, congratulations. You're average. You're like everybody else. It will never happen. You will never be able to know everything. Guys, I got into real estate. I've purchased deals before where I'm like, I don't know where I'm going to get the money for this. I don't know who the buyer on the back end is, right? Like those early deals, those early transactions, I had to get into them and begin to learn along the way. And yes, I had guidance and I had mentors and I had the coaches and all the people there alongside me. But my first time entering into the arena, I don't know what's going to happen. I may get punched in the face. I may get knocked out. But I understand whatever happens is going to give me feedback to keep going because I'm in this. I'm playing the game until the whistle. In fact, I feel like that's the biggest theme here is millionaires play until the whistle. All right, let's go into lesson number 11. Lesson number 11, because I want to stay on track here. Oh, Lindsay is so good with this. Failure is growth. Failure gives you something to bring back to the drawing board. Get feedback and implement immediately. Fail as fast and as often as possible. So good. So good. Guys, if you're not following Lindsay Moorhead and if you're not following Gerald on Instagram, you guys need to be following these people. You need to connect with them. You need to go do deals with them. You need to hang out with people like Lindsay, people like Gerald, because birds of a feather flock together. I'm telling you right now, those are millionaires. What's so cool, we'll get to lesson 11 here in a second. What's so cool though is we have the ability as humans to spot people of the same makeup, right? Like you can spot people who are cut from the same cloth. And you might recognize that, oh, this person is just like me. They're just earlier in their journey. That's what used to happen with me when I would have mentors who are now 9-figure earners and more. They would spend time with me. And I was like, why are you hanging out with me? Like, why are we friends? Like, you're earning so much. I'm just getting started. Like, I'm a newbie. Like, we don't have a lot in common yet. And they would say, like, no, you and I we have a lot more in common than you realize. The only difference is I started 7 years before you. I started 10 years before you. I'm just older. I've just been playing the game longer. But you can spot somebody who's of the same make and caliber. I'm telling you right now, Lindsay, Gerald, those are people who are cut from the same millionaire cloth, the same generational wealth cloth, they get things done cloth. Like those are people who get it done. Hang out with those kind of people. Okay, let's go into last lesson here, lesson number 11, which is millionaires know that impossible simply means it just needs to be chunked down. Right? Like the average person looks at an impossible task and says it cannot be done. Millionaire looks at the impossible task and says, how can we do it? They ask a question. Average people make statements. It can't be done. The thing about when you make a statement, your brain is so literal that when you make a statement, it accepts that statement as truth, whether it's true or not. And especially when you're the one that makes it, like who's your brain? Who is your brain going to believe more? The rest of the world or the words you speak to yourself? The voice that it literally hears more than any other voice. Like your brain hears your voice more than any other voice ever. And so when you say it can't be done, your brain says that's the most prominent voice inside of here. That's the master voice. That's the almighty voice. It's got it. It can't be done. Answer, store it in the filing cabinet, long-term memory. Everyone knows the fact it cannot be done. The rest of the body, stop working on that nervous system, shut it down. No more, close off the files. No more searching. It cannot be done. You've already given the command. The law has been made internally in your world. Congratulations. You played yourself. Instead, millionaires ask a much better question. How can I do it? How can it be done? Is it possible? If the laws of physics allow, then we can make anything work. I'm being so for real. In fact, this reminds me of a story that Elon Musk, he was working on one of the rockets and they had to ship the rocket parts across the country. And everyone's coming back to his team and they're telling him it cannot be done. We cannot. The parts are simply too large to ship it and get it down to Florida. It is impossible. And he goes, let's actually analyze this. Like, let's look at this impossible task and break it down. Let's break it down into chunks. One, is it physically possible for the parts to physically be moved? Like, do the laws of physics allow it? And everyone's like, they had to admit, yes, the laws of physics do allow it, but you don't get it, Elon. Like, there's underpasses. It's too big. If we can't ship it through the air. It's too heavy to fly, right? We don't have the sort of flying power to do that. We can't put it on the boat because there's no waterways to get to where we need it to go to. And we can't just drive it down the road because the underpasses, right? Like it would get stuck in the underpasses when we got to go on the bridges. He said, well, but on trucks, it would move. Well, yeah, but the underpasses. Well, why don't we just find roads that don't have underpasses? And why don't we just take back streets? And so they devised this elaborate route of just back streets to get the rockets down to where it needed to go to. Check this out. And these are like the smartest people in the world. When they are transporting it, they ran into the issue of power lines, right? Like they would come to some places where the power lines were hanging so low that they couldn't go under the power lines. And you know what they did? Right? Because again, we just chunk it down. Impossible isn't impossible. It just usually needs you to break it down into some simpler steps. Literally, some of the smartest people in the world went out and got a pole. They would have these cars that would drive in front of the rockets with a massive pole and literally stick the pole up and hold the power line up in the air while the rocket ship went under. Guys, if you want something done, it's a matter of chunking it down and breaking it into simpler tasks. Don't say things are impossible. Millionaires don't believe in impossible. If you want to do something, simply just, it's all right. Who do I need to call? Who do I need to talk to? What needs to happen? What literally needs to happen to make it work? Everything is possible. So understand that being a millionaire is about having a different perspective. It's a different way of thinking. It's a different mindset. This is critical. If you want to be a millionaire, change internally. Your bank account will follow. On that note, man, I had a lot of fun with this episode tonight. I appreciate y'all for being here. If you got value, be sure to leave a like, leave a comment, and share this video with someone else who needs this reminder. Like I like what Gerald said and David said it earlier, that they come back each week because of these reminders. These are reminders, right? And Lindsay says that's where I'm at, focusing on one part at a time, building that machine. So I love that. Lindsay, you are incredible. I appreciate you. Patrick, I appreciate you for being here. Karen, I appreciate you for being here. But everyone that joined in live with me, I appreciate y'all. Guys, we will be back next week, next Tuesday, for another episode of the Think Big podcast. And I'm just curious, what do you want to see me talk about? What do you need help with in your business, in your mindset? What do you need help with? That's what I want to create content. I want to create content based around not just what I want to talk about. Like I'm still, just be honest, it's my podcast. I got the microphone. I'm gonna still make content based around what I want to talk about. Yes, that's always gonna happen on my channel. Hence the word "my" to the word channel. But I want to make content that is valuable to you, the audience. And so let me know. In fact, the best way to let me know, screenshot that you watched this episode, tag me on Instagram and say, hey, would love to see you make an episode on this. I'll make a poll on my Instagram too. I'll make a questionnaire on Instagram, but tag me. If you got value from this and you're liking showing up, go ahead and share it on Instagram, tag me in it. And let's see if we could get like at least 30 different IG posts. And then I'm curious to see what you guys want to see us make or you want to see me make in the future. So on that note, guys, I will see you all next week for another episode of Think